do the MSI Dreamhand. Now this one is just straight up crazy. So just a reminder of what these videos are supposed to be, is just I'm gonna try to come up with the best possible hand that I can play mostly in the first turn, leaving only a few cards for the second generation or maybe the last generation if it's a points card. And I'm prioritizing synergy over good cards like a Central or Earth Catapult, which obviously would be better for most corporations. And then also I have a rule about cards where whenever I get a card draw in one of my cards, if it has a tag, I can assume what that card is. If it doesn't have a tag, I can't. This is obviously very beneficial to MSI, and it resulted in quite possibly the most powerful hand, I think. I think it's up there with Byron. The one I did for Byron, that video is up there. But honestly, the Poseidon Interactor ones are pretty good too. So, let's see. Okay, so MSI, as you know, starts with 50 mega credits, and it has an ability that where it can like move up 2 or steps back and forth in the Venus track, so sort of like Inventrix but only on Venus. And then it also draws 3 cards with Venus tags, which I can just assume what they are because of my rules, haha. From the B, like just 3 Venus cards as its first action. So let's go over what I'll be tracking. I'm gonna track the mega credits, obviously, the titanium, discount on Venus cards, discount on Earth cards, Venus tags, Earth tags, floaters on specifically dirigibles. So spoiler alert, I'm playing dirigibles. This is only there's more cards with floaters, but the only one I'm gonna track is dirigibles. Then my cards, because I do draw a lot of cards and we have to make sure I don't play more cards than I'm supposed to be having in my hand. And then Venus step where we are, how far it's been terraformed, and my mega credit production. So we're tracking, you know, only 10 things for this one. So it's gonna take a while. But let's begin. So we start with 50 cash, right? 1 Venus tag, and then we keep all 10 cards, so we go to 20, we pay for all cards. Steal 1 Venus tag, and now we have 10 cards. Let's go into our preludes. The first prelude is Space Lanes. And Space Lanes is going to give me a discount of 2 on both Venus and Earth. And it's going to give me 3 titanium. This is a great prelude for this corp. Everything else stays the same. Then my second prelude is going to be Venus Contract. Venus Contract, it's going to give me 1 card, so my cards are going to go to 11. And then it's not going to do anything else. The only thing is whenever I terraform Venus, I get 3 cash. Okay? So let's go into the projects. Well, my first action before the project is the corporation action. There are 3 cards, so everything stays the same. And my cards go to 14. Okay? So now let's go into the projects. So first off is Venus Way Station. So this costs 7 because of my discount of 2 on Venus. And I'm gonna pay with 2 titanium and 1 cash, right? So my cash goes to 19, my titanium goes to 1, my Venus discount goes to 4, everything else, my Venus tax go to 3, everything else stays the same. Then I'm gonna play Earth Office. Now I already have a discount of 2 on Earth, so it's free. So my Earth discount goes to 5, and then my Earth tax go to 1, everything else stays the same. Then I'm gonna play Media Group. So Media Group, I have a discount of 5 on Earth tax, so I pay 1, so my cash goes to 18, and I have the event, you know, cashback. I'm not gonna track that because it's always gonna be 3 the whole hand, so just remember when I play an event I get 3 back. Yeah, and my Earth tax go to 2. Next up, probably a popular one, Venus Governor. So Venus Governor has a discount of 8 because it has 2 Venus tax, so it costs 0. And then it's gonna just move my mega credit production to 2 and my Venus tax to 5. Everything else stays the same. Then we're gonna play Sister Planet Support. Now I have the requirements, which are 2 Earth tags. My mega credit production is gonna go to 5. This is free because I have a discount of total 9 on it. And yeah, Venus tax go to 6, Earth tax go to 3. Everything else stays the same. Then we're gonna play finally dirigibles. So dirigibles cost 7 because of the discount, so I just pay that with cash. And then I go from 18 to 11, right? And I'm immediately gonna place one floater on that dirigible, and then my tags go to 7. So now we're starting to track the floaters on dirigibles. Yeah, 7 Venus tags, everything else stays the same. Okay, next up is air scrapping expedition. So air scrapping expedition costs 9. So how am I gonna pay that? So because it has a discount, right? So I'm gonna pay for the 9 with the 1 floater I have on dirigibles, and then 6 cash. But so my cash goes to 5, my floaters go to 0. But I'm gonna gain 6 cash back because I'm terraforming Venus and it's an event, so I go back to 11. And then I'm gonna get 3 floaters, I'm gonna put them all on dirigibles, so I'm gonna go to 3. And then we just mark that we terraform Venus to 2%, and everything else is the same. No tax because it's an event, right? Next up is Stratospheric Expedition. Stratospheric Expedition is my 8th card, so we're still, good on cards. But okay, so how do we pay for this? This costs 8 because of discounts. I'm just gonna use 1 titanium and 1 floater, which is 6, and then 2 cash. So Stratospheric Expedition, I go from 11 to 9. I lose my titanium and my floaters go to 2. And then my cards go to 16. But I'm gonna get some rebates, or 1 rebate. That is because it's an event. My cash goes back to 12, up 3 to 12. And then again 2 floaters, so my floaters go to 4. Okay, after that I'm gonna play Corroder Suits. Now Corroder Suits costs 8, but I'm going to pay that, so it's 4 after discounts. I'm gonna pay that with 1 floater and 1 cash. So my cash goes down to 11, and my floaters go to 0. But I get a resource on any card. I put that back on dirigibles, so my floaters go to 1. And then I get 1 more Venus tag that goes to 8. And then my money production goes to 7. Okay, after that I'm gonna play Venus Shuttles. Now Venus Shuttles, I'm not gonna use it yet, but it costs 9. After discount it's 5. I'm gonna play with 2, so my cash goes to 9, and 1 floater, so my floaters go to 3. But I gain 2 floaters, so my floaters go to 5. And then my Venus tax go to 9, and everything else stays the same. After that I'm gonna play a bit of a shitty card, Floating Refinery. So Floating Refinery costs 7. I'm not gonna pay with cash, I'm just gonna pay with a floater, so my floaters go to 4. It costs 7 minus the 40, so it's 3. My floaters go to 4. And then my Venus tags go to 10. And I'm immediately going to use the action to... So this is my 10th tag, so I get 10 floaters on it. I'm gonna remove 2. I'm not gonna count this because, just for, I have enough to do it in the first hand, but remember I have 10. It's not gonna matter for the rest of the hand, but it's nice to have. You have, basically 5 income for 5 gens. But yeah, I'm gonna remove 2 floaters to get 2 cash and 1 titanium, so my cash goes to 11, my titanium goes to 1. Yeah, and everything else stays the same. After that, sulfur exports. Okay, so sulfur exports cost 21, discounted at 17. I'm gonna use the titanium and 3 of the floaters, so that's 12. And then 5 cash, that's 17, right? So my cash goes from 11 to 6, titanium goes to 0, floaters go to 1. This is my 11th tag, so my money production goes from 7 to 18. And then I terraform Venus, Venus goes to 4, and because I terraform Venus I get 3 back, so that 3 back means my cash goes back to 9. Okay, After that, now I'm gonna tap Venus Shuttles. It's gonna cost 1, unfortunately. I almost got it. I almost managed to get it to 12. I didn't figure out a way. But yeah, so my cash goes down to 8. Venus goes up to 6. And then because they're from Venus, it goes back up 3, so my cash goes to 11. And everything else stays the same. Now with Venus at 6, I can play cards that require Venus to be at 10 because I'm MSI. So let's start with Ishtar Expedition. Discounted, this just cost 2, so I'm just going to pay that with cash. So my cash goes to 9, and then I get 3 titanium, and I get 3 more cards, so I'm at 18. And I was at 13, right? It's my 13th card, but I'm at 18 now, so I get to play 18 cards. And then because it's an event, my cash goes back up to 12. So 12 and 3 titanium, everything else stays the same. After that, I'm gonna play Envoys for Venus. So this is free because it's a Venus tag. I definitely meet the requirement, and I just gain 3 cash, so it goes up to 15. Titanium stays the same, everything stays the same. Both delegates can go on the same party, and that party will be Unity, in case you didn't expect that. Now I have no titanium income, but right now I have 11 Venus and 3 Earth tags. It's gonna get higher, so the 14 cash is more than enough. And that plus your free delegate, which I'm not gonna, well, you can just say, okay, now I place my free delegate. You have 3 on Unity, that probably wins you the first election. And you can actually do this action much earlier if you wanted to. As soon as you play Media Group, which was the 3rd card, you already have the 3 Venus decks, right? So, from Contract, Waystation, and MSI. So, yeah, you could have done that early, but if you saw competition in the Senate, if anyone gets to 2, then you do it, and your next action is the 3rd one, and you guarantee the buy for yourself. I just did it at the end because it's sort of irrelevant, but anyway. Cash is at 15, everything else stays the same, except Unity is going to be in power next turn. Okay, now we play Neutralizer Factory. So after it's also 10%, after discounts it's 3. So I pay 3 with cash, go to 12, Terraform Venus, Venus gets to 8, and I gain 3 for Terraforming Venus, so I go back to 15, and this is my 12th Venus tag. Everything else stays the same. Finally, we're going to play Venus Orbital Survey. That is my 16th card. I'm going to use the 3 titanium and 5 cash. That's 9 plus 5, 14. So my cash goes to 10, my titanium goes to 0. That's, it's at 14 because of the discount. 13th tag. And, yeah, everything else stays the same. So, before my next card, you could technically tap Venus Orbital Survey and decide if you want to draw 2 cards, or maybe you get a Venus tag and you can draw it, and just for free. Probably not won't get to play it, but you have 10 cash at this point, so you can totally pay for both cards if that's better than what you have. But what you have in hand for the 70th card is obviously Stratospheric Birds. So let's assume you just saw 2 garbage cards and you threw them away, didn't pay anything for them. You play Stratospheric Birds, it's gonna cost 8, you just pay for that, so it goes from 10 to 2, 14th tag, and you consume that floater that was specially left there, and that's it. You played Stratospheric Birds on Gen 1. That's not the hard part. I've seen that happen with MSI and things like Giants, I always forget the name of the card. Here I have it right here. Giant Solar Shade. So that I've seen happen. It's gonna happen more with the Preludes, but that's nice. And this is my 17th card. You can start putting animals on Stratospheric Birds. We do have 18 cards in hand because I did draw a total of 18 cards. The card that I'm leaving for the 2nd generation is Maxwell Base. Right, so I mean there's no way to afford this in the 1st gen because you don't have the energy. You also don't have the cash at this point. But yeah, basically you have a two. Well, let's go to the summary. Let's summarize the hand. Okay, so what are you left with? Well, you have played every significant Venus card in hand, right? But you have 18 cash production, and then you put, let's say you put Unity in power, you have 14 plus 3 tax, that's 17, plus your terraforming rating. You've terraformed Venus 4 times, plus a terraforming rating that you gained from the first prelude. Sorry, from Venus Contract, you're at 5 terraforming rating, the 25. So, you know, 25 plus 17 plus 18. Well, let's just do 25 plus 18, that's 43. So you get 43 income starting second gen. And you'll get an additional 17 for 60. In the second gen and every time you put Unity in power. You don't have the titanium production to go with that. I couldn't include Ishtar mining. I had it in a couple of the things, but it was just hard to like do it at 8%, and I didn't know any card that I could get rid of here. Like, I need all the card draws. Obviously those get me more cards. I need the 4 Venus steps that I get to play Stratospheric Birds. I need pretty much everything that gets a floater on dirigibles to play a bunch of cards in the first generation. And there are things that I didn't want to get rid of, like, you know, Maxwell base. Oh, I could have played, instead of having Maxwell base in hand, just play Ishtar mining. That increased my production a little more, and it did a bunch of nice things, but I think Maxwell base and Stratospheric Birds are a match made in heaven, and I knew I wanted those 2 cards. There were other cards that I tried to include, but yeah, let's continue looking at the situation. So you have 43 income, plus 17 every time you get Unity. You have a 2, a card that does you 2 cards, maybe for free, especially Venus cards. You have a crazy point engine, with 2 points per gen, with Stratospheric Birds and Maxwell base for free. You have great Earth and Venus discounts. Even though you've played most of the good Venus cards, maybe you could get into all the animal ones. And Venus is not very terraforms, it's 4 steps in. You're gonna get a bunch with Venus shuttles, and you're also gonna get 3 cash every time you do that, right? So you have a great terraforming engine. You technically, if it goes 10 gens, you can get 14 steps, and just, you know, you're making 1 terraforming rating at a rate of -3. You're paying -3 cash for a terraforming rating, which is insane, because it's at this point free and you get 3 every time you terraform, right? Yeah, that's what you have then. You also have a nice oh, and you have floating refinery, which still has 8 floaters on it. And so for 4 turns, you actually have even more income. You have 1 titanium, so you do kind of have titanium income for Unity, and 2 cash per the first 4 turns. After that, I wouldn't recommend using it very much. So what is the strategy from here on out is to win the game. Like, you have the card draw, you have the income, you have the point engine already in the first hand. I think it's one of the strongest dream hands I've done in MSI, obviously with my rule that you can, you know, draw cards with the pick the card when you draw with attack. MSI obviously benefits from that more than many other corps, but I definitely think this is on the stronger side. Definitely like it more than Terractors. That video is up there. I don't think I like it more than Virons, just because Viron and AI Central is just crazy good. Poseidon maybe, but Poseidon had the Pluto engine, so I don't know. The Pluto and Luna engine were kind of crazy. But anyway, let's talk about expansions. And for expansions, I think, well, obviously I'm playing Prelude and Venus, and I've already showed you that I did Envoys from Venus, so I'm playing Turmoil, and I'm putting Unity in power like almost every time, maybe the Scientist from time to time to get cards to use my cash. But just Unity just gives me so much advantage. And so the only question is, should I play with colonies? And to me the answer is yes. When you have that much cash to use, I mean, you don't have the energy but Colonies makes the game longer. It has good floater interactions, which you could use, and it could put something like Titan, yeah, Titan is the floater one, into play, or something like Pluto, which when you have the cash you'll happily pay the 9 to get the cards, basically, even if you don't have the energy. So yeah, with this sort of like crazy engine hand, I would go for Colonies. Now let's talk about the boards. So for the boards, I checked all 6, and it was honestly really close between Hellas and Elysium. So okay, so here's the thing. You do have already 8 floaters on Floating Refinery. So at the start of Gen 2, you can just take Overlord, which is on every map, right? And then Venophile is yours. You have 14 Venus tags, so you have 1 award guaranteed. Now, the milestones on Hellas, so Diversified, you actually have 5 tags, which isn't bad, because you've played a ton of Venus, Earth, and Space. But you also have 1 city and 1 animal from, I mean, you're gonna get down Maxwell Base, which is, you have 4, Maxwell Base will be the 5th with the city tag, and then the animal tag from Stratospheric Birds, but that's not great. Tactician, you have already 6 cards with requirement. You have Venus Governor, Sister Planet support, well, actually Ishtar doesn't get. You have Neutralizer, Factory, Stratospheric Birds, and Maxwell's gonna be the 5th one. Next turn you just need to pay for an energy, so you would get that. Tactician is yours for sure. You have 2 events too, but those don't count for milestones, right? So you can get Tactician, but then Explorer Explorer, you have nothing on it. Energizer, you have 0 on it, and Dreamseller, you have 0 on it. And even though like Dreamseller synergizes with you because of space lanes and the whole floater thing, yeah, it's not great. So you're in for 1, and then for the awards, I Cultivator no, Magnate no, Magnate yes, Space Baron maybe, Eccentric probably, and Contractor probably not, right? So I mean, there's you're probably in for a couple, and you have Venophile. So, but then with Elysium, so the milestones are much better because Specialist, you already have it. You have the cash. You have Overlord, same thing, and then obviously not Ecologist, but you have Tycoon and Legend are 15 and 5. You're at 14 and 4. So next turn you can actually play 1 card, and because it's either a green or a red card, you have all 3 milestones. And then for the awards, you're not doing great, and that's why I actually hesitated, because you have Venophile. You can probably count on Celebrity because of the card draw and income. But then not Industrialist, not Desert Settler, not State Dealer, and well, Benefactor. You will terraform a lot of Venus, but it's just you need a Planet Heat engine if you want to get Benefactor. And the other thing about Elysium is that it's a much friendlier rush map. Now, obviously, you win this hand regardless, but I'm still trying to decide what the best map is, because Hellas is so much worse for rush, and you're definitely going for an engine game, but I think the capacity to get 3 milestones after 1 action in Gen 2, well, 2 actions, because you also have to play Maxwell Base, and then whatever you get, the next card is either gonna get you Legend or Tycoon, and then you can claim that one, Specialist, and Overlord. Yeah, it's just getting all 3 milestones in Gen 2 is pretty good, so it doesn't get any better than that, really. So yeah, I would go with Elysium for the boards. But yeah. Well, yeah, I want to go a little over why I made some choices. Like, there's some bad cards like Floating Refinery. And especially the main thing I want to talk about is the Preludes. So I went with Space Lanes and Venus Contract. The Prelude I thought I would be using, which is I still think is the best Venus Prelude, is searching Atmospheric Enhancers. Now this would allow me to draw 2 cards instead of the 1 that Venus Contract let me draw. And it would get me 2 Venus steps, right? And because I have a bunch of cards with floaters, like I can still pick it. Right, so it's just 1 more card. And then I wouldn't have to play something like Neutralizer Factory, even though that was technically free, but it wouldn't be free because I wouldn't have Venus Contract, right? But I still think just with the combo you have, Venus Contract is the better prelude here, right? Just getting 3 per Venus, it's just better, right? You're gonna get a bunch with Venus shells. So and Space Lanes was not up for discussion. Like you get 3 titanium and you get a discount on 2 on every card you play, sometimes 4. In the case of Venus Government and Sister Planet support, you get 4 from Space Lanes alone. But that's just, you know, out of like 16, 17 cards that I played, that's just so much cash. So Space Lanes was a no-brainer. I really thought I was going to go for Atmospheric Enhancers, and maybe I could have played more cards in the first hand, but honestly, I mean, I would have had 1 more. And I wouldn't have needed Neutralizer Factory. But I'm not gonna run that scenario because I think Venus Contract, I think this is the better hand, even if I get to do 1 less thing in the first generation. Like, I can't actually afford to buy the 2 cards from Venus Orbital Survey. With Atmospheric Enhancers, I probably did. But this is still what I wanted to play. Few other things, I tried somewhere to get Floating Haps in there, because after Gen 1, you probably want to play all dirigibles into a point card like Floating Haps, and you have colonies. I just didn't have space for the science tags. And Floating Haps was cash positive, basically, because I pay... Well, it was neutral, because you pay 1 for it, plus like 2 for the floater, but you put it on dirigibles and you play something else for 3, so it's the same, right? And then what else? Yeah, there were other things like Unexpected Application. I just didn't have a card to discard. Like I could have done this instead of like Neutralizer Factory. But then I wouldn't be able to, and then I can draw the 2 cards from Venus Orbital Survey, because this costs less, 3 less, and I also get 3 back from the event. But then I don't have Maxwell Base for the 2nd gen. I think Maxwell Base is just the way to go. There were other things like Air Scraping Expedition. To me was a no-brainer because it's actually free once you do the math, like with the 4 discounts and like it's an event and a Venus step and you give you 3 floors. It's actually cash positive. And so that and Sulfur Exports was also one that was a no-brainer, and Venus Shells was a no-brainer. So I already had like 3 of the 4 Venus steps I wanted to get. So I just had to go for Neutralizer Factory as the cheapest one for the 4th one. But then, you know, Atmospheric Enhancers, the Prelude would have gotten me 1 extra step, because I was still probably playing those 3 cards, right? So that's why probably the best card I still think was Venus Contract. And yeah, not much else to say. You know, hope you get Geropolis at some point. Yeah, let me know what you think. You know, if you come up with something better, if you come up with a way to get 1 more cash, so that you can buy one of the cards from Venus Orbital Survey. I spent an extra day just trying to get 1 more cash some way. Yeah, I couldn't, because like if you see 2 cards, you're probably gonna see one that you want to keep. But if you get to do that and then play Starfleet Birds, yeah, you know, figure it out. Like, and I mean, without losing one of the big good cards like Sulfur Exports or Starfleet Birds or Maxwell Base. Those are just cards, and obviously Venus Orbital Survey, right? But you can't lose those cards. Those are the most important cards here. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you think, and see you next time.